All right, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're unpacking the modern crisis of meaning, but we're doing it through a really fascinating graphic novel-style lens. We're going to look at this entirely from the perspective of the ultimate force of chaos, to really get to the bottom of society, the self, and the shadows we all try so desperately to hide from.
Our journey kicks off with this incredibly powerful theatrical narrator. I am the dragon, the ancient breath of the id. Picture this ancient, chaotic force just watching from the uncharted wilderness. The dragon is observing these villagers, these master builders of stone and steel, as they actively tear down their old, crumbling temple, completely abandoning the sacred myths of their ancestors.
Which brings us to Act 1, the fall of the temple and the psychic vacuum.
So, in their sprint toward rationalist supremacy, the villagers replace those deep, archetypal roots with cold, effortless efficiency. But here's the catch. This created a massive psychological dissociation. By cutting ties with their ancestral soul, they inadvertently trap themselves in this cold, gray, mechanical life that they just built.
And what happens next perfectly illustrates the tragedy of it all. As the temple vanishes, this strange malaise just kind of seeps into the village. They essentially hollowed out their own hearts, creating what's called a psychic vacuum. So sure, they were physically secure in their perfectly engineered little houses, but spiritually, they were absolutely famished, drifting completely without a compass, in a space where meaning used to breathe.
Moving right along to Act 2, Golden Masks and the Fragmented Self.
Now, inside the walls of those perfect houses, the villagers start feeling this gaping abyss of internal emptiness. And to hide from it, they crafted golden masks. We all know these, right? They're the highly curated social personas we wear to hide our internal shame, or what the text calls the ugliest man living in our shadows. They wore these masks to pretend that poor, simple reason was enough to navigate the massive storms of existence.
But honestly, the masks didn't work. Their highly structured minds completely lost the ability to reconcile with raw, chaotic desires, the exact kind of chaos the dragon represents. So, they broke. They became bridges that broke, totally unable to cross the spiritual divide between their rigid, mechanical lives and their wild ancestral souls.
Act 3, the Regressive Defense Mechanism. So what exactly happens when that internal pressure becomes unbearable? Well, human beings always look for an escape route, and the villagers instinctively found one, a regressive defense mechanism. In plain language, instead of doing the incredibly difficult work of facing their own emptiness and anxiety, they went backward. They reverted to childish, simplified, tribal group behaviors just to escape the terrifying responsibility of being a true individual.
And you can see this flight to the collective play out so tragically. They turned to political banners, clinging to them like life rafts, and they merged with a collective shadow just for a shallow sense of belonging. Naturally, this fueled intense tribalistic aggression. Families and friendships were literally torn apart because people chose the warm safety of the mob over the hard integrity of the individual.
Act 4, the danger of projection.
Now, the dragon watches all of this chaos and poses a really striking question, and I want you to think about this for a second. Why do they roar slogans at one another? What is actually happening beneath the surface when society descends into this kind of partisan screaming match? Well, it boils down to the danger of projection. You see, while you might think you're attacking an external enemy or a political neighbor, what you are actually attacking is your own unresolved shadow. All that hostility, it's just a desperate, blind attempt to strike at the internal discord rotting within your own heart by using a convenient external target.
And finally, Act 5, False Idols, or the Dragon's Fire.
The dragon waited out there in the wilderness for heroes to leave the stagnant village and face the fire. But sadly, most villagers made a tragic choice between false idols and their own human personality. Those false idols offered a really comfortable scaffolding of stolen meaning, but the cost? They had to sacrifice their unique, distinct human personality to the state and the collective.
They basically traded their individuality to live entirely within the social persona of the crowd. They used their politics as a mask for legal revenge and deep resentment. In the end, they spent all their energy perfecting the societal machine, but left the individual man totally broken, hollowed out, and consumed by the very discord they refused to own.
But listen, there is a way out of the psychic vacuum. You can choose to become the architect of your own meaning, and it comes down to 4 direct steps. First, you have to leave the unearned safety of the collective banner. Second, bravely drop that golden masquerade of your curated social persona. Third, turn inward and actually face the shadow within yourself instead of projecting it outward. And fourth, commit to the difficult, ongoing work of building your own meaning. Which leaves us with this final, provocative challenge from the dragon, spoken directly to you. Will you stay in the village, perfect the machine, and succumb to the psychic vacuum? Or will you boldly step into the uncharted wilderness, take responsibility for your own soul, and face the fire? It's absolutely crucial to figure out where you stand as you navigate your own search for meaning. Thanks for joining me on this explainer. I'll catch you next time.